Welcome to the Steve Barkley Ponders Out Loud podcast. As instructional coaches and school leaders, you are tasked with guiding continuous teacher growth to create student success. This podcast looks to support you with strategies from experienced guests, as well as my own insights that I've gathered over the years. I'm thrilled to have you with us. Thanks for tuning in. Coaches building a mattering ecosystem. Reading a recent report from Harvard Center on the Developing Child concerning mattering in early childhood, I was triggered to ponder the role of coaching to support teachers, both building mattering for students and our role as coaches building teachers' own sense of mattering. Mattering is the feeling that we are valued and have value to add to the world. Experts in education, public health, and workforce development continue exploring mattering as they try to understand what we all need to flourish. Mattering is important to all of us. The Harvard report, which is linked in this podcast lead-in, identifies two essential ingredients of mattering: feeling valued and adding value. Feeling valued is the intrinsic assurance that you are significant to the people and the places around you. Adding value is the sense that others rely and depend on you for help. A healthy balance of both protects physical and mental health. It fuels learning and it impacts communities through individuals' pro-social participation and contributions to the well-being of others. Mattering brings together feelings of connection, belonging, and purpose. Now, mattering and belonging are common, but they're not the same. Belonging refers to whether or not we fit into a community. Mattering encompasses whether we feel valued within our communities and whether what we do makes a difference. You can belong in a classroom, on a team, at a workplace, or even in a family, and still not feel like you matter. Mattering goes deeper. When you feel that you matter, it ensures not only that you have a place, but that your presence and your contributions truly count to those around you. The Harvard report speaks to the connection between adults mattering and children mattering. Quote, "When we build a mattering ecosystem that helps adults feel valued, we're creating the conditions for children to feel they matter too. When adults face threats to their own sense of social worth, such as feeling undervalued, stress and diminished self-worth can affect their mental health, which affects children in their care. When an adult's own sense of mattering is under strain, the stress can seep into other parts of life. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as the spillover crossover effect, which describes how experiences from one domain, such as work, can influence our parenting and impact those closest to us. In these moments, when a caregiver might still be physically present, but their emotional availability subtly shifts, they may miss opportunities to attune to the child or have less bandwidth to handle conflict. Conversely, adults who feel they matter are more likely to offer attuned, responsive care. And when children see the adults in their lives acting and speaking as if they feel valued. And when those adults affirm that children are important, it creates a cycle where adults' healthy sense of mattering strengthens the child's own foundation of being valued. In other words, when we build a mattering ecosystem that helps adults feel valued and significant, we're creating the conditions for children to feel they matter too. End quote. My wife, Michelle, is an elementary school counselor. As she shares with me her work with young students, I often hear her focus on building their sense of mattering. Interestingly, when she is supporting parents of struggling students, often building the parents' acceptance of their own mattering is a precursor to their support for their child. Listen to the following presentation from Angela Myers. Consider what role you have in building a mattering environment.
Hi, I'm Angela Myers, educator, author, speaker, and founder of Choose to Matter. And I'd like to start our conversation today by asking you a question. Don't answer right away, but I want you to really ponder what your authentic, honest answer would be. If I said to you, you are a genius and the world needs your contribution, would you believe me? I want you to think about this. If I was in front of 1,000 5-year-olds and I looked them in the eye like I'm looking you in the eye, and I told them you are a genius and the world needs your contribution, they would rush to the stage, and before I could even blink, they would be up there sharing who it is they are, and more importantly, what it is they could do for you and the world. In addition, they would not only, with humility and honesty, own their own genius, they would make sure that if there was a need in the world or the room, that there would be somebody else they could send you to. If you want to learn how to dance, you need to see Sally. If you want to learn how to be an artist, you've got to see Nick. If you want this, Bob's your person to go to. I've had the honor and privilege to look in the face of thousands of students in the last several months and sit in front of audiences of 1,000 5-year-olds and then move to an audience of 1,000 third graders and fourth graders and high school kids and CEOs and adults in the community. And what is heartbreaking is that by the time kids get to about second or third grade, believe it or not, when I say those words to them, you are a genius and the world needs your contribution, they hesitate. And the older they get, the more they work to hide and hold their genius down. Well, I can't say that I'm a genius. Somebody will think I'm being arrogant. Well, are you a genius? Well, if you're a genius, then I'll be a genius. Oh, I don't believe in this genius stuff. That's just this crap. I am me and I'm just getting through and I'm doing things. And therein lies the problem. Because we underestimate our own value. You cannot be of service or value to someone else, and certainly not the world, if you do not truly understand that you matter and you have a contribution that you have a responsibility to make. Mattering and saying to someone you matter is not a statement of inspiration. I'm not trying to inspire kids. I'm not trying to inspire teachers. It is a reminder of your civic and citizen responsibility. The reason we aren't solving the problems that we have in front of us is not because we don't have the technology, not because we have a shortage of talent or creativity, and it's certainly not because we don't have the opportunity. It's because we have individuals sitting right next to us that refuse to step up. And if you look at the reason why we don't raise our hand and say, I am a genius and here's what it is, it's because deep down, whether we admit it or not, we do not believe we matter enough. And we don't believe that we have what this person and this person and this person has. I'm here to tell you that is absolutely wrong. And we are not servicing our students, we are not servicing ourselves, and we are not servicing the world, playing it small and holding and hiding what it is that somebody else in the world not only might need, but will need. So I want you to think about that question all throughout the day. I want it to haunt you and I want it to hold you. When is the last time that you believed that you had something that someone else needed and that you felt confident and fierce about saying what that is, not from a place of ego, but from a place of honor and respect? You are a genius and the world does need your contribution. So hear these words. You matter.
So how do we build a sense of mattering for those we teach and those we coach? Myers reminds us that you can't force someone to matter. You can create the conditions for them to come to that conclusion, but they have to believe that they have value. Zach Mercurio, writing in How to Create Mattering at Work, provides these signals of mattering. You communicate signs of being known when you know my full name. You ask about my life. You know about my struggles. You remember me. You miss me. And you check in on me. You communicate signs that a person adds value when you show me how I make a difference. You affirm my unique gifts. You ask for my opinion. You give me responsibilities. You show me I am relied on. So if mattering can't be forced, but conditions can be created, what might that mean for us as coaches? Coaching builds a mattering environment, not through programs or initiatives, but through the way we show up in everyday interactions. One of the most powerful ways that coaches build mattering is through attention. When we give our full attention, when we remember what someone shared in our last conversation, when we follow up, when we slow the conversation because something important has just surfaced, we communicate to the other person, you are significant. Attention says you are not interchangeable. That's foundational to mattering. When a coach starts, last time we talked, you mentioned that this was weighing on you. How is that going now? That's not a technique. That's a message that says, I see you, I remember you, and you matter. Another way that coaching builds mattering is by helping people see the impact of their work. Many teachers are doing work that matters every day, but no one's helping them to interpret the effects of their work. Coaching creates a space to connect actions to meaning. When a coach asks questions like, what changed for the students because of that decision? Or who benefited from that adjustment that you made? Or what are you noticing that is making you smile? Mattering grows when someone helps us connect our effort to the impact. Coaching also builds mattering through invitation rather than evaluation. Evaluation might answer the question, how am I doing? Coaching answers a deeper question, is what I bring here needed? When we invite teachers to think with us, to test ideas, to contribute their thinking, not just to comply with expectations, we then affirm the teacher's unique gifts. We show that their voice matters, their perspective matters, and their judgment matters. Listen to Vicki Kelchner, a licensed professional and national board certified counselor, and the author of High Five to Thrive, 5 proven practices to unleash your passion for teaching. Listen as she describes teaching as more than a career, rather a calling.
Teaching really goes way far beyond just being a job. It's deeply personal, it's purpose-driven, and often it's emotionally taxing because educators and teachers invest so much of themselves into their students. So they're trying to balance these academic expectations, faculty, administration expectations, also the systemic pressure that they're feeling. And then they also want to support students' well-being, and that's a lot. And then we talk about the parents too. So it's not just like a regular job where you go in, you do your job, and you're done. You're cultivating this environment that you're helping will grow that child into a healthy adult, a happy adult, and a happy child at the same time, right? And they have so many demands. It's hard to balance it all. And I think that this is one reason we see a lot of compassion fatigue. We see a lot of burnout. We see a lot of emotional overload from teachers because it is a calling. It is deeply rooted in what that person's purpose is as teaching. It's not just a job. And so it's in their fiber, their being of who they are. So balancing all of that and making sure that they support students and themselves and everyone around them in the system can be really exhausting.
Another role of coaching is protecting emotional bandwidth. The Harvard report reminds us that when adults feel undervalued, stress spills over into other parts of life, including how they show up for children. Coaching doesn't eliminate stress, but it can reduce isolation. Being heard restores capacity. Feeling valued replenishes emotional energy. When teachers feel they matter in coaching conversations, they're often more emotionally available for students. Lastly, coaching builds mattering through consistency over time. Mattering isn't built in one powerful conversation. It's built through patterns. When a coach shows up again and again, remembers what matters to someone, and stays connected over time, the message becomes clear. You are not alone in this work. That's why I'm drawn to Angela Meyer's reminder that we can't force someone to believe they matter, that we have to create the conditions for them to discover it. Listening to a recent podcast conversation between Jim Knight and Michael Bungay Stainer, I heard Michael describe a paradox of coaching that I think connects to mattering. He suggested that coaches need to care and not care. As a coach, you genuinely care about the person in front of you. You deeply want to support them, while at the same time, you're not attached to a particular outcome or solution. You care about the person's growth, progress, and success, but not about your idea of what action they should be taking. I had been preparing this podcast when I heard his description of that paradox. It struck me as a key to coaches building mattering. Here's hoping that you continue to find mattering in your coaching and leadership work. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can always reach me at barclaypd.com. Thanks for listening, folks. I'd love to hear what you're pondering. You can find me on Twitter or LinkedIn at Steve Barclay, or send me your questions and find my videos and blogs at barclaypd.com.